Hello once again, watchers of The Walking Dead. My name is Nick Pell. That's Anna Romskog. And we are going to be here talking about episode 10 of season 4 entitled Inmates. Now, if you have not seen the other episodes in this season, or any of the show for that matter, I would not recommend watching this because you'll have things spoiled for you.
Major spoilers in this episode.
Yeah. So I won't be doing like a thing. Well, I won't be doing like a thing at the end of the video like I typically do with my videos. So everything is free game here, as is with these TV show reviews. So yeah, know that. Also, check out the mid-season premiere video that we did, because that has like 10 views. That's really low for the TV show reviews on Walking Dead. So go check that out, and give me views for that. So, like I said, episode 10. First episode of the mid-season, we saw Rick, Carl, and Michonne. Now we are seeing every other survivor and so essentially all the other main cast come back, and we get to see what they are up to. It starts out with Daryl and Beth. We see that they are surviving together, and
bickering a little.
Yeah, and a little bit. It starts out with Beth doing a voiceover when she first got to the prison. I think talking to her mother.
No, it was just a journal entry.
Yeah, it seems like she was like talking to her mother like through the journal entry.
I don't know if I agree with you on that, but okay.
All right.
Just go with it.
Yeah, and so that happens, and it's kind of like there's so much hope before. Or when they first got to the prison, and now everything's back to them on the run and surviving and all that type of stuff. So Beth has been kind of putting on this face for a while, just like this tough persona, and now that she has like this very slim amount of hope left, she's like, we'll find people. And then they track down the humans that were running from the walkers, and she finds them dead, and she just breaks down and cries. And that's where we end Daryl and Beth. What did you think of that segment?
I thought it was nice to have more action than the last episode.
Yeah. And
more movement in the storyline than the last episode. And I thought it was really interesting because you start out that portion of the episode at a completely different point where you start out with the next group. Because what it turns out is that with the next group, which is Tyrese,
and the
two girls, and
then
Judith, who survives.
Yay.
And they run into Carol, who comes back.
Yeah.
So those are the major spoilers that we were talking about.
Yeah. The Carol thing.
You see them start earlier with that group than they do for Daryl and Beth. But I mean, I guess it was a good thing, and I know last week I talked about the possibility of them like killing off Beth because she's not really a major character. But the fact that she's with Daryl, I don't think it'll happen now. Yeah,
as is typical with the show. Every episode, there's a few close calls. It's like, oh, they might get bitten. But no, they both survived, obviously. Or else we'd be talking about it. And with the Carol thing, I'm pretty sure that was kind of a given because she was still being credited as a cast member, and I think her name was still showing up in the opening credits. Or at least in the credits in general. And so it's kind of hinted at by the makers of the show as well that she would be coming back at some point. And she does. Tyrese apparently doesn't know that she was the one that burned the bodies because he made no inference to that, and Carol basically just told him that she had stayed behind to look for more supplies, and she found a car and she was doing that instead of what actually happened, which was Rick kicked her out. So
well, and I think weren't there like 2 episodes in between the episode where Rick kicks her out and the war? There's 2 episodes about the governor between when Carol gets kicked out and when the war happens, and so I think that we forget that the day she got kicked out was the day the war happened. Or like within like a day of that.
Yeah.
It was really close together, and so it was completely plausible. It wasn't like she was gone for a week and suddenly, oh.
Yeah.
What do you mean you were gone?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So there's that. I also thought that the girl who's a little psychotic, I thought she was gonna suffocate Judith because she had just like the look in her face, and she was covering Judith's face, and I was just like, "What are you doing? You are evil. You're an evil child." And then Carol shows up and doesn't allow that to happen.
Well, we don't exactly see Carol show up. Just all of a sudden, the girls show up, meet up with Tyrese, with Carol and Judith, and it's like.
I kind of would have liked to see her like emerge and save them because there was walkers coming towards them when that happened, and the girl's like into her killing sense, and the other one who's not as brave is just like trying to fend off the walkers but failing, and then Carol somehow shows up, takes out the walkers, and they meet up with Tyrese, and they walk along the railroad tracks and find what I'm assuming will be the setting for season 5. I don't know for sure because I haven't read that part of the comics for a bit, but I think that's where the next bit of the show is headed.
The name of the place that they were heading? It was started with a T.
Yeah, it's like Terminia or something. I don't know.
Terminus. Terminus.
Yeah.
Yes, they're headed towards Terminus.
Yeah.
Which they heard from a guy who just got bit. Was like a safe haven for survivors, and so they're headed that way, which is like down the track somewhere, and almost the exact opposite direction of what Daryl and Beth headed, if I remember right.
Maybe.
So it'll be interesting to see like if Judith ever gets reunited with Carl and Rick, because like last episode was pretty heavy on like the Judith's gone thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And then next, we see
Glenn.
No, we see...
Oh, Maggie.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Maggie, Sasha, and Dr. Bob.
Yep, we see them. We see that they're all together. Maggie is searching desperately for Glenn or any sign that he might be alive. Mm-hmm. They take off from their perfectly safe resting area for the night.
Is there anywhere that is actually perfectly safe during a zombie apocalypse?
The prison was for a little while.
It wasn't perfectly safe, though.
As safe as you're going to get.
Okay, perfectly safe is defined as living in a bubble.
No.
Exactly.
No. But she tracks down the bus that Glenn had, or that she thought that Glenn had got off on, or got out on.
Got on to and left with.
Those words. And she takes all the walkers trying to see if one of them is Glenn, and she realizes, hey, he wasn't on here, so he might still be alive. And so she has like a really dramatic bit of the whole episode.
Yeah, she was the really dramatic part.
Yeah. I don't know, is there anything else to really say?
There's not really anything much to that section. Like, I feel like the biggest development section was actually Glenn.
Yeah, so we'll get to that now. Glenn wakes up. I don't even remember if he got knocked out or something.
I don't remember what happened to him either.
It's been so long since I watched the finale. But he wakes... Mid-season finale. Mid-season finale.
But the finale and the mid-season finale are different.
And he wakes up. He has all these walkers underneath him. And he's like, oh, crap. And shouts for Maggie. Obviously, is not there. Goes around the prison, goes to her room or her cell, and kind of just reminisces. I almost thought that they weren't going to have him talk at all during the whole segment that he had, because he's just kind of going around scavenging supplies, finds the riot gear, tries to get out of the prison with the riot gear, and gets a little overwhelmed, sees the police officer girl who was with the governor for the 3 episodes that we saw her. She's essentially just blaming herself for everything that happened, and gets her to go with him. I'm just summarizing this very, very broadly. And they escape, take out some walkers, go in collapses. And then she takes out a walker, and then we see the arrival of Abraham, Eugene, and the girl whose name I don't remember. But this is the next kind of slew of new characters that are from the comics, which I'm really excited about because they do have fairly big roles to play.
But the thing is at this point, Glenn is again passed out on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, he must have gotten hurt. I don't remember what happened, but the way he was like...
It could be the heat from the riot gear, too.
It could be that. Also, kind of the way he was wheezing, thinks maybe he's got a couple broken ribs.
Well, I mean, he just got out of the flu thing, too. Because he was really sick over that. So I think he was still recovering from that when the governor attacked. So that's probably part of it. But we saw in the promo, he's fine. Because he's interacting with Abraham and everybody.
Not Maggie, though.
Not Maggie. This is the one thing that I hope that they don't do. I don't want everybody to be separated for the rest of this season, and then they'll find each other in the finale or the penultimate episode to the finale. Don't do that, because that's just going to be an annoying back and forth, and I don't like it when they do that type of stuff.
I have a feeling they will do the back and forth all the way up to the episode before the finale, but it won't be like everyone finds everyone in that episode. It will be over the course of the rest of the season, they'll meet up. So, like, one episode might be Rick and Michonne and Carl meeting up with Tyrese or somebody else. Like, it might be things like that. Like, over the course of the season, they just have the group slowly come back together, and then they'll have the final group back together at the very end, and that'll probably be... I'm wondering if that'll actually be Abraham and Glenn.
That could make some sense.
Because that would launch it really into the season finale and the next story arc.
Yeah. The thing is, though, with the comics, they all kind of found each other again really quickly. So, because it's a TV show, I feel like they're going to dramatize it a lot more and make it take a lot longer. Because when they introduce Abraham and his group, the gang's all back together, and it's Rick that kind of interacts with Abraham at first. And they kind of get the feel for each other. And so, I don't know. It'll be
interesting, but Glenn also has a different role in the comics than he does in the TV show. He has less of a role, I think, in the comics than he does in the TV show. And Tyrese has a hugely different role, and Daryl doesn't exist. So, I mean... They have some different character roles they have to play around with to make it work still. Yeah. I mean, Rick still is in charge in the comics. The story's about him.
You don't even add the best part of the ones that are out so far either. But, yeah, two of the main characters that are alive in the show, right? Three. Yeah, three of the main characters that at this point in the comics should not be alive are still alive in the show. And that's really interesting to see. Overall, obviously, a more exciting episode than the first one.
Definitely.
I do hope that it did seem a little, I can't think of the word, just how they were going from story to story to story to story. It kind of felt like you get like a little segment of this person and a little segment of this person. It didn't feel complete as like an overarching story to me, and I kind of...
Well, that's why they brought in Abraham, I think.
Yeah, but that's not gonna join everyone together.
No,
I'm just saying, like, if they keep, like, say in episode 3, if they show, like, because as far as we saw in the promo, it's gonna focus on Rick, Carl, and Michonne for part of it, and we're gonna have Glenn, police officer girl, and then Abraham.
Also, if somebody can remind us of her name, that would be awesome, because neither of us can remember it, and it's not mentioned in the show. Yeah. Not since, like, before the mid-season finale. Yeah. And that's a long time ago to remember.
A bit, yeah.
That's like, what, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too long to remember. Somebody tell us, because I'm sure one of you fans of the show knows her name. Yeah. You probably know her entire backstory, too.
Because we're not history majors, and we don't need to remember names or anything like that. That is our review of episode 10 of season 4 right there. We hope you like it.
I was going to say, I think I think with the last episode, they were trying to do something and they didn't quite achieve it. I think seeing this episode, which is more like the average episode for the series, compared to the last episode, I think they were trying to go for a pause, which some shows can do really effectively.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was so effective coming back from mid-season break.
Yeah.
I think it would have been way more effective farther in.
A little bit.
When
they had to go somewhere, and they're following the comic progression, which is weird now because they're actually following the comics again, roughly, like story-wise. But
he's a purist.
I am a purist. Don't judge me.
Too
So
late.
that's our review of The Walking Dead season 4, episode 10. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. Share the video if you want as well, because that's apparently happening with my videos now.
We like that too.
It's awesome, and I don't know why it's happening now, but it's happening. So go with it. Make sure to subscribe so you can see our review of episode 11, which will be coming out hopefully next Monday. Maybe, if we're not totally busy with things.
I hate Mondays.
My name's Nick Pell.
Good night.
Oh, say your name.
I hate Mondays.
She's Anna Romskog. And as always, my good people, keep on watching.